Hey, how's it going? Ben here. Great to see you again. Thanks for tuning in. In this video, we're talking about renting a motorcycle here in Thailand. So this video specifically is going to focus on those of you who may come to Thailand and rent a motorcycle for a short time as a tourist. We're going to be talking about, is this a good idea or not? Now, there are many reasons why this is a terrible idea. There are many reasons why you should definitely not come to Thailand and rent a motorcycle on your holiday. There's plenty of very sad disaster stories that start with renting a motorcycle in a different country. So that's just the reality of this. That's a fact of using a motorcycle in general. It is pretty dangerous. Also, driving in a different country is pretty risky because you're not familiar with the rules of the road. So we're going to cover this topic. What I intend to do in this video is break down all of the many little things that are kind of a problem or that may be an issue that aren't a good idea about renting a motorcycle in Thailand as a tourist, and then I'll try and provide some sort of potential solution to these issues if I know of one, if I'm aware of any. Now, you may be thinking, what is the point? Why not just avoid renting a motorcycle altogether? Well, unfortunately, renting a motorcycle is the best way to get around, really. Heading to an island in Thailand and renting a motorcycle and driving around the island is one of the best things you can do out here. To be honest, it's one of the most enjoyable and fun ways to get about, and one of the most affordable and easy ways to jet about and get across the island and see all the different spots. So it is a really good thing to have access to a motorcycle while you're a tourist in Thailand. It's very cheap and easy to rent motorcycles in Thailand. They're pretty simple to drive. However, there are many issues. There are lots of hazards, there are a few dangers, and there's a lot of complications when it comes to things like insurance, health insurance, accident insurance. There's a lot of little issues that I'm going to go over in this video. For those of you who don't know, my name is Ben. It's great to meet you if it's your first time here. I do live in Thailand. I've lived here around 5 years, and I do commute daily on a motorcycle. I actually don't rent one, I own one now. However, I have rented in the past. This video isn't about those of us living here. This is about people who are probably coming for a holiday and are going to rent a motorcycle for a short time. I'm going to focus on that and the specific issues that come with that. If you're interested in buying a motorcycle, I did just recently make a video about the process of buying a motorcycle. I'll leave a link to that video in the top corner of this video right now. And I have made a couple of videos. I've made an overview of driving in Thailand and a video on getting a Thai driving license. If those videos interest you, then please check out this channel. Because recently I've been making a few videos about driving here in Thailand. So the title of this video is Don't Rent a Motorcycle in Thailand unless you have watched this video. So as you can see probably in this picture, this is me renting a motorcycle here in Thailand. So this was up in Chiang Mai. We actually rented some motorcycles in Chiang Mai and drove to Pai. Like I said, it is one of the best things to do out here. Getting around on a motorcycle is a lot of fun. There's a lot of great drives you can go on, but there are a few hazards I'd like to highlight, so hopefully you can be prepared better for them. That's the intention for this video. So even though it is a very dangerous thing, it's a very ill-advised thing, there's plenty of videos, articles online telling you not to do this, I thought I would offer a counter argument, or at least highlight some of the issues, some of the key issues that you may be able to resolve yourself. Alright, so let's get on to the first issue, the first problem with renting a motorcycle in Thailand. So, health insurance probably won't cover you. Now, if you have a standard health insurance package, which is very much advised if you're traveling to Thailand because they have a private health sector, so if you need to use the hospital, you're going to have to pay for it. And just in case you don't know, it's actually very expensive to spend time in the hospital. Maybe you're coming from a country that has a public health sector like I am. I'm from the UK where they have the NHS system. Coming to Thailand, it was very eye-opening seeing or hearing about friends who've had to use hospitals who didn't have health insurance. Even just the amount you have to pay to rent a room is very high. It's obviously very expensive to get medical care, medicine, and all the equipment at the hospital is very expensive. And actually, one of the main things you may not know is that the average sort of traveller health insurance that you may have purchased won't cover motorcycle incidents. So my first piece of advice would be to you is to check if your health insurance covers motorcycle or road accidents, because many don't, many won't. So I think the reason why most sort of standard traveler health insurance don't cover incidents and accidents on the road is because it would maybe make it more expensive. So maybe you will have to go for a more expensive package if you're planning on going on like a long motorcycle ride here in Thailand, or if you just plan to use a motorcycle. It's probably worth looking for a company that offers health insurance with road accident included. So definitely check all the small print. I remember the first time I came to Thailand, my health insurance package that I paid for before I came out here didn't cover accidents on the road. It didn't cover motorcycle accidents. So you definitely need to check that, as it is very common that they're not included. And I just wanted to highlight that for you. In the example that I can look to, back when I first came out here and I had health insurance from a foreign company, to be covered for like motorcycle incidents, you had to get like a separate package on top of that. It was a more expensive bracket, and then you were covered for things like rock climbing, motorcycle accidents, and a few other sort of extreme sports. You were covered by like surfing incidents and all that kind of stuff. So it was a more expensive package, maybe worth checking out if you're planning to come to Thailand, especially if you're going to be renting a motorcycle. So yeah, that would be the first point I would point to. Health insurance probably won't cover motorcycle incidents, so if you're going to go on a long motorcycle ride, definitely look for a package that will cover you for that. And it's not only health insurance. Bike insurance probably won't cover you as well. So that's like the accident insurance that vehicles have to have. So I'm not actually 100% sure how it works when a company is renting out motorcycles, how their insurance may cover foreign drivers. But I do know that owning a motorcycle, if you don't have a Thai driving license, if your vehicle isn't taxed and you aren't the registered owner in the Green Book, or your family or friend is a registered owner of the Green Book, then you won't be covered by the insurance in terms of like if you hit another vehicle, the cost of that vehicle repair won't be covered by the insurance you have. Now, I would assume that there's a package available for those who rent, for companies who rent motorcycles. I imagine there's an insurance package that they can provide to like third party or to people who are renting those motorcycles. However, I would like to also put this idea out there that if there is an accident, if the motorcycle you're renting is damaged, if a car or another vehicle is damaged when you have your incident, it may become very expensive for you. Like, I'm not 100% sure on what the details of the insurance would cover in that situation. And I couldn't find much information on this online either. So I wanted to include this. I wanted to include both of the insurance things in the first 2 points. So your health insurance probably won't cover you if you have a motorcycle incident unless you've paid for a package that includes motorcycle riding. And also the vehicle insurance, the accident insurance, may not cover damages caused to your vehicle or to any other vehicles involved in the incident. So it could be a very expensive endeavor if you do unfortunately have an incident on a motorcycle here in Thailand if you're on holiday here. So it's definitely something to bear in mind before you go and rent a motorcycle. In terms of accident insurance coverage, maybe you could ask at the company you're renting from what type of insurance they have. Maybe you can check the motorcycle is taxed, because if it's taxed then it probably has insurance, because you do them both at the same time. So yeah, speak with the people renting the motorcycle, the company who are renting the motorcycle, so you ask them about the accident insurance, and you can check yourself if it's taxed, and that would be a good indicator to whether it is insured or not. So there may be some issues in the insurance arena when renting a motorcycle here in Thailand. Also, you may, or you probably don't have the correct driving license to be operating a vehicle legally in Thailand. This may be the case. However, this is an easy remedy to fix. So my understanding is that if you have a driving license from your home country and you have an international driving permit, which is something you can apply for, I think in your home country you can apply for, and it's not too expensive to get, then if you have your driving license, the international driving permit, and your passport on you, if you're a tourist here in Thailand, my understanding is that then if you get stopped by the police and you have all those documents, then there'll be no issues. You are legal to operate a vehicle here in Thailand. However, if you don't have all of those documents, maybe you weren't planning on renting a vehicle, maybe it was something you just decided to do once you got here, very easy, very simple to do, then you probably won't have pre-planned and arranged all those documents. Obviously, if you have a Thai driving license as well, that would be, I didn't think I'd need to include that. And also, if you're a tourist, you probably don't have one of those anyway. But yeah, so if you don't have a Thai driving license, if you don't have that international driving permit, then technically you don't have the correct license to operate a vehicle here in Thailand. So that is something else to bear in mind if you're planning on renting a vehicle out here. It's definitely worth, it's probably definitely worth applying for the international driving permit in your home country in your preparation to go abroad. Like, I think that would be a really good idea if you're planning to come to Southeast Asia. I think lots of countries recognize the international driving permit, which is like a little booklet you can apply for. So yeah, probably worth getting one of those if you're planning to drive here. If you're living here long term, if you're planning to stay out here for a while, if you've been out here for a while, then it's not too difficult for foreigners to get a Thai driving license, which is much better, much smoother. If you get stopped and you can show your Thai driving license. I have one, it wasn't that difficult to get. And I've also made a video about that on this channel before, so I'm probably going to leave a link to that video in the description of this video. So if you are out here long term and you want to know about getting the Thai driving license, check out the link in the description. I'll leave a link to that video there. Alright, also you will likely be asked to leave your passport when you're renting a motorcycle in a holiday destination here in the Kingdom of Thailand. So many people renting motorcycles here in Thailand will ask you to leave your passport with them while you rent the motorcycle. This is very common from the smaller rental places that are just out on the high street that you can stop at. They will ask you to leave your passport with them as like an insurance that you'll bring the bike back. They probably won't ask for a deposit in this case. Obviously, this is a crucial document to you, so you're very likely to return to at least get that passport back. So it does work for them quite well to request the passport because it's a very important document. You would need to go back and get that, especially when you're in a foreign country. But it's not such a good idea for you for a few different reasons. Given how important this document is, I would much rather pay a large deposit and have that money come back to me than leave my actual passport with someone who I don't know. And that is something that's echoed a lot online. In fact, if you Google renting a motorcycle in Thailand while you're on holiday, then this is probably one of the first issues that will jump up that a lot of people recommend against. So what I would say is I would recommend looking for a more established vehicle renting company. Ask if your hotel has any connections, because if your hotel works with someone who rents motorcycles, you've probably already given your passport details to your hotel. They've probably taken a copy of it. So maybe then if you do that through the hotel, then maybe they won't ask for your passport. This has happened to me before. My hotel provided motorcycle rental. I didn't have to leave any documents because I'd already given them my personal information. They already had my passport number and my address and phone number and that kind of thing. So then they didn't request my passport to rent a motorcycle. I was able to just do so. I've also done it with companies that I had to contact online that didn't require that I left them with my passport. In this case, I had to pay a deposit, which I was much more comfortable doing. But yeah, this is another reason why it's not a great idea to rent a motorcycle in Thailand, because maybe they'll ask for your passport as a kind of deposit. Like I said, you probably can find companies that will take a cash deposit, and maybe you can stay in a hotel that does rent motorcycles and won't require any kind of deposit. So that is a potential solution to this issue. On top of that, you probably don't have protective clothing. Now, this is a very common thing I see is people it's a very common thing in Thailand that people won't wear protective clothing to operate a motorcycle. They're very much more mundane, everyday vehicles, so people just hop on them. Thai and foreign people both typically don't wear that much protective clothing compared to what you would see in some Western countries. So if you went to the UK, typically you won't see that many motorcycles as it is. But the people that you do are kind of motorcycle enthusiasts, and they have all the protective gear on as well. So yeah, it's kind of much safer in that instance, obviously. And I do see this a lot in the holiday destinations. You see foreign travelers jump on a motorcycle in swimming shorts and flip-flops and a t-shirt. That's not at all protective gear, and it's especially dangerous if you're not that used to, not that familiar with operating a vehicle. So yeah, this is a issue I see. Maybe you think I sound like a bit overprotective and all that kind of stuff. I know plenty of people don't mind jumping on a motorcycle in shorts, but the thing that really like makes me uncomfortable is seeing people operate vehicles in flip-flops. You see a lot of people riding sort of scooters with flip-flops. That's just like make my skin curl a little bit. You want to definitely at least wear trainers, you know, because you have to put your feet down quite a lot. If you fall off your motorcycle, the most likely part of your body to be injured is your like leg, your foot, your ankle, because the bike will probably fall onto part of your leg. You'll hit the ground first, probably with your feet or your hands. So wearing things like decent shoes, proper leather shoes if you can, or even better motorcycle boots, but obviously you're probably not going to be able to carry those with you. So yeah, maybe at least wear some sort of leather strong trainers. That would be a good idea if you're planning to rent a motorcycle in Thailand. Jeans would be a good idea, some sort of trousers covering all your legs. Shorts aren't ideal. I know that's not practical if you're just sort of using the motorcycle to scoot about from beach to beach, but you know, it is a bit better to have that kind of protection on your legs. If you want to take it a step further, I recommend like getting motorcycle gloves. You can get gloves that protect your hands if you hit the tarmac. They're a really good idea because I think the most likely part of your body to get injured are your hands, like knees and hands. Your feet, knees and hands, sorry. Because they're the points of contact with the road if you fall off most typically. It's a good idea to wear a jacket, protect your arms and everything, but typically you just see people sort of jump on in shorts, vest top, sometimes shirtless, wearing flip-flops, and that is kind of dangerous. So this is another reason why renting a motorcycle isn't a great idea, because if you're packing for a beach holiday, you're probably not going to be packing protective clothing, right? You're probably going to be packing shorts, bikinis, and all that kind of stuff, and you maybe won't have jeans or a jacket to cover your arms. It's not even just a good idea to have a long sleeve t-shirt or a jumper just to protect if you fall off. It's actually good protection from the sun as well. Obviously, if you're going on a long motorcycle ride or even like a brief motorcycle ride, you probably get hit by the sun quite heavily. So I like to wear something that covers my arms, typically for my daily commute. I feel much better doing that. But yeah, this is something else to bear in mind. Perhaps this is kind of like something you may be able to remedy. Just make sure you bring some decent, strong shoes, perhaps a pair of jeans that you can put on, and maybe a jacket or a long sleeve t-shirt. That would probably do you for like the absolute minimum. Obviously it's much better to have like real motorcycle protective equipment, but I guess like decent shoes, jeans is like a sort of minimum step you can take to protect yourself from the sun and from potentially taking a tumble off a motorcycle. So yeah, I would definitely recommend some form of protective clothing being included in your luggage. If you're planning to rent a motorcycle, I think that's a good idea, something good you could do. And to continue on the topic of protective clothing, you will probably be given a shoddy helmet. Now, if you're renting from a cheap sort of stall, they will probably give you something that looks a little bit like this. However, this motorcycle helmet pictured on the screen now is probably better than the motorcycle helmet you'll be offered. This looks new, looks like it's a little bit of a hard shell on top. Often what I see being given with the motorcycle rentals is a very flimsy, just sort of like a skid lid, I think they call them, like where it's just the top plastic sort of motorcycle. I've been given helmets where the visor won't stay up or won't stay down, it just sort of rattles. So yeah, you're definitely not going to be given a sort of a premium helmet if you're renting a motorcycle. One thing you could do is check with the people renting the motorcycle, ask for a helmet that comes down, covers the ear, ask for a helmet with a visor that covers your face. It's way more comfortable having something that covers your ears and covers your eyes, not just that extra bit of protection, which it does provide. If you were to have an accident, you want to have a decent helmet. But also, like, the sound is pretty loud when you're driving a motorcycle. If you have a helmet that covers the ears and has a little bit of padding around the ears, it actually reduces the noise level from the wind and from the other vehicles. So I recommend doing that. I wouldn't want to drive in a shoddy helmet, not just for the protection, but also like the comfort. It's not as comfortable operating a motorcycle without a decent helmet. If you don't have a visor, then your eyes are going to be getting blasted by the wind. You'll also get dirt, insects, anything going into your face. So yeah, having like a visor that comes down and that is sturdy and that is clear from scratches so that you can actually see well is, in my opinion, like vital. Like I hate not having my visor down. Like I said, you get a lot of bugs, a lot of dirt, a lot of wind hitting you in the face, especially if you're near a beach. You'll have a lot of wind coming in from the sea, maybe a bit of sand as well. Obviously, rental companies aren't going to spend a ton of money on helmets if they don't have to, which they don't have to. So asking for a decent helmet, maybe look for a place that offers a reasonably good helmet, is a good idea. If you plan on traveling around Thailand for a long time and you're going to be spending a lot of time on motorcycles, then maybe even purchase a helmet. You can purchase a decent helmet. It's not that expensive. You could carry that around with you. Maybe you can leave it if it's not too expensive. And that would be a good idea, perhaps if you're staying for an extended period of time. Definitely just buy your own decent helmet, travel around with that. Typically when I'm traveling, because I live here, I just take the helmet I use for my daily commute. So oftentimes if I'm getting a bus to like some area, I'll just take my helmet with me if I plan to rent a motorcycle there, because it's much better to just have my decent helmet. Also, like renting a helmet, obviously it's gonna have a lot of people use that. It probably smells pretty bad. So yeah, it's not great, the helmets that come with rented motorcycles. I don't mean to like sort of insult anyone, but yeah, they typically will smell pretty bad. They're typically not the best. They don't offer the best protection. They're maybe like a bit scratched, a bit beat up. They maybe don't cover your ears. So this is another issue that I see, that I feel. So yeah, there are a few remedies. Check the helmets as well as the motorcycles when you're going to rent a motorcycle. Ask the people renting a motorcycle if they have better helmets. Ask if they have some that cover your ears and have a visor on at least. And yeah, that could be some way to remedy it. Potentially even go out your way and buy a decent helmet. It's a pretty good investment, in my opinion. So this video isn't intended to be all doom and gloom. I did want to include some photographs. So this is a photograph of the first motorcycle I rented in Thailand, actually. It was on an island. Me and my friend were traveled about. It was a great experience. Best way to see all of the island. Another picture that I included at the beginning of this video is me and the same friends on a different motorcycle trip up in Chiang Mai, where we traveled to Pai. You can see in this picture, this is actually a much better motorcycle I rented. They let me use a cash deposit instead of my passport. They also offered like these helmets that you can see covered our ears and had visors on, which was great. So there are great experiences you can have renting a motorcycle. It's not necessarily a bad idea. It can be a really exciting thing to do, a really fun thing to do, a real interesting thing to do. You get to see much more of the city if you have your own vehicle to travel about. So yeah, it is a worthwhile thing to do. However, there is a massive risk involved, and I just wanted to highlight that in this video. But yeah, not to completely dissuade you from renting a motorcycle while you're on holiday in Thailand, but perhaps to illuminate some of the sort of hazards or some of the things to bear in mind when you're going to do that, so that you can perhaps make it a little bit safer for yourself. Alright, that does conclude this video on renting a motorcycle while you're on holiday here in Thailand. So I hope you feel like you've learned something. If you did, consider hitting the like button. I greatly appreciate that. And also consider subscribing if you live in Thailand, if you plan to move to Thailand, or if you just want to go on holiday in Thailand, because I do talk about living and traveling in Thailand a lot on this channel, so it'd be great if you did that. If you have any questions about renting a motorcycle in Thailand, let me know in the comment section. If I can, I will answer those questions to the best of my ability. So I appreciate comments as well as likes and subscribe. I appreciate you watching this video, especially if you made it all the way to the end, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.